Hello beautiful people, it's Sindafam. Welcome to the channel. Today we're back again with another video, and this is from You and Candace Owens. We're gonna be checking this together. Let's check it out.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are rolling into another episode of the Candace Owens Show. It goes back to the feminist argument, at least the modern day feminist argument of saying, well, women should be able to do all the things that a man can. And so what they try to do is they try to erase any physical biological differences between men and women. Of course, we see that in this whole gender fluidity movement, that what does it really mean to be a man and a woman? Well, abortion really plays a part in that.
Right.
Because if a man can physically walk away from a pregnancy, then a feminist would say, well, a woman should be able to physically walk away from a pregnancy too. So rather than rejoicing in the privilege, and to use a leftist word, the true privilege of being able to carry a child, no matter how hard the circumstance is, because I understand circumstances are really hard for women sometimes, but instead of rejoicing in that privilege and that uniqueness of femininity, that uniqueness of being a woman, they want to take it away so they can say, there's really no difference between men and women, and they think that's going to usher in this egalitarian utopia where men and women don't have any differences between them and equality will be achieved. It's not going to happen.
Do you consider yourself a feminist?
No, I don't.
Interesting.
I don't.
Very, very interesting.
There's a lot of people that want to, and I know you said that you're not either. There's a lot of people who want to reclaim feminism. I don't really see.
Like, let it burn.
Yeah,
right?
just
Where
let
we're
it
at
die.
right now, like, let it burn. I don't really see what we're fighting for anymore. Like, I get it. Like, the movement had to be started because we actually did not have equality with men. We have equality with men. In most circumstances, we have more than equality with men. It's like plus. We have all of these privileges on top of it. And when I think of feminism today, I think of the Lena Dunham types. Like Lena Dunham out there, she's obviously miserable, right? And she's not shaving her armpits, and she's going out there and saying that this is freedom. It actually, what they identify, what they determine to be freedom, to me looks like misery, right? We don't need men. We don't want men. Actually, you do need men. Like, actually, we cannot pretend physically, like, biology exists. Like, this is not a good platform to have abolished men. Like, we don't want any more men. And the movement has become so radicalized, and the only way for people to actually pull it back is to just let it burn. I'm not a feminist. I don't need to be a feminist. There's nothing that they're fighting for that I agree with anymore.
Yeah.
It seems overprivileged. It seems bratty. You have time to put on a pussy hat and go march and scream during the weekday. You probably have achieved equality.
Right. And I just want to tell Lena Dunham, like, you not shaving your armpits is not doing anything for me. So if I'm just going to tell you, woman to woman, I feel totally fought for already. Like, you can go ahead and shave your armpits, girl.
Right.
It's not accomplishing that much for me.
Since still now about 20% of people meet their life partner in the workplace, what's the deal with asking somebody out for a coffee or a drink? And as far as I can work it out, and I quote some people I've spoken to in the book about this, but as far as I can work out, the deal is currently this. You can't do it and shouldn't do it because you could bring down your whole career unless you deploy it once with 100% accuracy that the person you're trying it on is to be your life mate.
That's about right.
That's a big risk for that coffee or drink request.
Yeah.
And unsustainable. Totally unsustainable.
I make the joke, and I'm only half joking when I say if being gay could be a choice, if I was a man, I'd choose to be gay, because you're always treading in really scary territory with this rise of radical feminism.
Right.
And here's the other side of it, which no one is really discussing, is that these radical feminists who make this a problem, right? Who everything, it's now Me Too. You look at me, you find me attractive, I've been Me Too'd, right? You're Me Too'd. If you said a joke that was maybe a sexual nod or something, said that I looked good today, right? Or sexy today. You're now Me Too'd. The other side of that, though, is that what you're doing is you're turning men sort of into this tail in between the legs dogs.
They're trying to emasculate
men. But the biological underpinning of this is very interesting, is the feminists don't want that.
Oh, no.
They don't
Absolutely.
want that.
They're making men they don't want.
They don't want. Right.
Sure.
And a stunning piece, and you have to read it. Promise me you'll read it.
Sure.
Is Lena Dunham.
Oh,
Recently
yes,
wrote a piece in the New York Times.
I'm a great fan
about
of Lena
how
Dunham.
she just she could, oh my God, she's totally nuts. You can actually see she's now coping with the fact, and she actually says in the article, has Me Too gone too far? This guy won't make a move on me.
Right.
And I'm like, you're the
Who saw that
author
coming?
of radical,
Yeah.
you're the author of radical feminism.
Right.
This is what you made your bed lay in it. Men,
course.
oh no men hit on me. No men come up to me.
Who
Well, what do you
dare?
think? Who would dare come up to you and say anything?
Yeah.
And it's not because of the way she looks. She is disgusting, in my opinion. I think she's gross. But aside from that, even if a guy would tread that territory, he's read her pieces. You've got to be crazy to go up to her and say, would you like to go out on a date?
Yeah, no, it's like going up to a nuclear device.
That's exactly
There's
right.
a mushroom cloud
Right.
every which way you go.
I was listening to the scam of feminism today, which say, go out and be like men, be the most productive that you can be. You should want to work for the next 50 years and provide for your family. You can do it without a man. Adopt a child. You shouldn't want to pursue marriage. Marriage is bondage. And that's pretty much the scam of and the myth of feminism, right? But at their core, I think all of these women are running around thinking that they just want men to see them, but men don't want these radicalized women that are saying, if we have children, I'm going to let them pick their gender, right? I mean, that's like
having little babies is the new term. It's not he or she, it's babies.
Yeah.
And we now have the social scientific data. Since second wave feminism, since the 1970s, women have become less happy. Not just relative to men, which is also true, but in absolute terms. And the left is shocked by this. They say, no, but now women have all of these new ideologies. Right, and it's making them miserable. Maybe something's wrong with that ideology of feminism.
I got a call. I do a male-female hour on my radio show every week, and I have for about 15 to 20 years. So a woman called me. She said, I'm 50 years old. I have 3 degrees. I'm a very successful entrepreneur, CEO. And I want you to know, Dennis, that I deeply regret that I followed the feminist advice at college. Because when I come home after a successful day at work, to an empty home, no husband, no children, no family, it's not good. She was not self-pitying. I actually had her call. I've written 1,000 columns. They're all on the internet, 1,000. And I never did this before or after. I transcribed her call, and that was my column that week.
Wow.
All I said was, here is what a woman said to me on my radio show.
Where is the lie? Of course, modern feminists just want to base everything, all of their problems, to be about men, because make it make sense. They claim this, they want this, and when it's not given the exact same way they want it, then it becomes a problem. Because obviously, tell me now, you see how they are trying to divide men and women, for men not to approach women, and then for women to be masculine, men to be feminine, and all of that shenanigans. This is the exact same thing they want. And then they make it seem like it is men's fault, or is a man that um caused it. Why do they really think that all of their problem is centered around men? Because they just want to think, or they just want to create a problem, or create problem where there is none. Feminists lie to women. The modern day feminists lie to women, and we've continuously said this on this channel over and over again, where these modern feminists will tell these modern women to be strong, independent women. They don't need a man, and lots of women will buy into that shenanigans, believe it to be true, when in real sense, most of these modern feminists that are telling you to be strong, independent women, behind their strong, independent women facade that they present, there is a man sponsoring their lifestyle. They have a man that is taking care of them, their upkeep, but they want you to be miserable. And this is the problem, because many women, instead of listening or being present, or asking themselves the necessary question, is this a path you really want to take, they'll rather listen to other fellow women who would tell them a lie, and they will believe that lie. You want to know why? Because we are told to believe all women. So people choose, modern women choose that, and then come complain that it is the patriarchy. What patriarchy? Because you chose to listen to women, you chose to listen to feminists, and obviously you chose you're now miserable. But blame it all upon men, because it's a lot easier for women to blame it on something that will be held accountable, or than to be responsible, or that to take accountability for their actions.
I really do believe that modern feminism encourages male absence. It encourages it because it's become toxic. They use terms like toxic masculinity, right? And I say to myself, all of their examples of the idea of what it means to be a man now is toxic. They think, oh, this is a man. Masculinity is wrong. There's something inherently wrong with being a masculine man. And to me, I always say that it was toxic masculinity that saved me. You know, I had a healthy fear of my grandfather. Nobody played around with my grandfather. We still don't play around with my grandfather, you know, and it's just, there's a certain level of respect when you're in his home. There are rules. And because I had that healthy fear, I was, I guess, more responsive to that sort of authority when I had to go out in real life. You know, I believed in structure. And yet, this version of feminism today, we have women that are basically promoting men should act like women, right? And women should act like men. There's all of this confusion. You can pick your gender, you can do what you want. And ultimately what I think it's doing is feeding into this idea of a breakdown of the family.
Yeah, you know, feminism as a branch of liberalism, you know, has had a very devastating impact on the Black community more than anything else, I believe. And that's not just an opinion. If you look back, and we don't have time to get into a lot of it today, but I could support it. If someone were to come up and demand, where'd you get that from? I could show them the research. And it didn't just like discourage a man being around, it kicked the man out of the house.
That's right.
In other words, you know, you're not needed here. Who became the male role model, the male figure in the home? Uncle Sam. All right. The government.
I'm pro-man. I just happen to know that many of them will take what they can get, right?
Yeah.
And there are women who will take what they can get in a different way. And so you have to hold the line, even if you're the last human being on earth who subscribes to this idea, who gives a flying monkey's behind about your own integrity being exclusive. Not available to anyone who wants to click on your profile. You are exclusive. You are special. You are to be preserved. You're not to be given away. You're not a commodity. You're not something to be thrown in a trash can.
Right.
A magazine. You know, you are a human being. And so I swear, I think it all comes back to teaching women to love themselves. I really think it's there. And having, hopefully a mother to teach you that and a father to teach you that is important. I think the breakup of the family and the fatherless families impact men and women differently. And for women, they can be far more susceptible to a society that says, please give us you for free.
And the problem is exactly what you said. Girls aren't being told how wonderful it is to be a girl. And all those wonderful things that you just mentioned, they have to look forward to, are not held up in society anymore.
No.
As a positive and wonderful future, being married, having children, those are some of the most fulfilling experiences in life.
Right. And actually what's taken a hold in culture and society is this toxic form of feminism, which has emerged, which I do my best to speak to women about and let them know that that is a scam. You fall for that. That is a scam. If you believe that rejecting men, rejecting order, not wanting to shower, you know, growing your armpits hair out is somehow freeing, right? If you believe that making yourself sexually available to anyone and everyone and being promiscuous is going to somehow make you freer, you are going to be shocked when you wake up one day and realize that you have nothing that has actually fulfilled you because you've rejected it. You've rejected order and you have signed up for chaos because we have, again, a culture, a society, and a media that perpetuates the idea that somehow conservative values are bondage and liberal values are freedom when it is in fact the opposite.
I totally agree with you. I mean, you know, think back to your grandmother, or I think back to my grandmothers, and I think back to, you know, the idea that these women were less strong than women today is a joke. They were so strong. No men couldn't get away with anything with either of my grandmothers. And it wasn't because they were feminists. It's because they had integrity and they knew right from wrong. And you couldn't push them around. And today you have these Me Too women who say, you know, these young women who are you call themselves feminists. They wear the, you know, fuchsia hats and they say, oh, I couldn't stand up to so-and-so because he had a job that was superior to mine. And I just think, wow, my grandmothers would have never fallen for that. Why are young women today being pushed around?
There is an actress, I don't even know what she's in, so I don't know why I'm calling her an actress. I literally only know her by her boobs, okay? Because every time she's upset about something, she gets naked. This is her name is Emma Ratajkowski. I know I butchered that name, okay? Very, her body, great body, right? So the way that she gets attention is every time she gets upset, she takes her bra off on Instagram and she has her boobs. So she goes marching naked, she just wears her jeans, she says, you know, like, F you guys, F men. So she, like, naked picture, F you Harvey Weinstein. How is this sticking it to the man? So I say this, my husband talked about this. He's like, all right, I guess Emma's mad again. Men have to look at her boobs. I guess, Emma's really upset again. We're forced to look at her boobs because darn the patriarchy. Men are winning. They're getting the best deal ever. So women have now decided that promiscuity is a sign of freedom. So women are saying, we'll give it to you for free, right? We will have sex with whoever we want. We will take our clothes off whenever we want. Please explain to me how men are losing in this.
Oh, that's very funny you should say that, because I was at college at the cusp of feminism, and I've never said this publicly, and
You loved feminism, didn't you?
I loved what?
You loved it. Every second of them
that's
throwing
the
their
point.
bras.
No, that is the point. I remember saying to a friend, because I'm a good guy, but I'm also a guy.
I'm also a guy.
And I remember saying to a friend, I can't believe it. For 10,000 years, men have wanted women to think that they want sex like we do. And it finally happened, and here I am, 20 years old. God, you are a good God. I remember going through this routine with my friends.
He's like,
I couldn't believe it.
Okay, the girls are
Because
walking
I
down the
would-
street naked again.
Or just, no, commitment is completely unnecessary. Oh, really? You got to be kidding.
Tell me this is not how men
No, so what has
win.
happened? So here is of course it's how men think, but here is the amazing thing. So the women bought the feminist lie, not the feminist line, the feminist lie, you're just like men. But they get depressed when they act like men sexually.
I'm like,
so now the depression, they're in far greater states of depression. They're far lonelier than men. And and that's why you have all the rules now. Oh, well, I didn't really say okay. Well, what does that mean you didn't say okay? So that what they're saying is, I am not to blame for the consensual sex we had, which has made me depressed. He is to blame for the consensual sex I had that made me depressed.
Exactly. Women bought into the feminist lie because obviously a woman is not supposed to be held accountable, right? A woman should never be held accountable, should never face consequences for her action. It is always men's fault. Blame it all up on toxic masculinity or patriarchy. It is always the man's fault. When are women gonna take accountability for their action? Okay, remember, no, it is the man's fault. It is the man's fault you're depressed. It is man's fault you're miserable. It's everything about men. So they cloud their mind to constantly think that something is wrong and everything that is wrong with them is men. Why is that? Why do they really think that? But again, you know why this is interesting is because exactly they just want to act like men. But again, now that they are given the opportunity to act like men, to see things from the view lens of how men operate, it is a problem. It is a man's fault. It's a man's fault that you now see things how men operate. Just imagine. They want equality, but when it's beneficial. They want equality, but when it is good, only the good size of it. When it's a problem, then blame it on men. Why is that? Why do they think that all of their problem or all of their rising problem has to do with men or involves men? Make it make sense. They cloud their judgment. Listen, they are the ones that are confusing themselves, also setting themselves up for failure in the sense that they want to think like men, they want to act like men, they want to be men, and still they want to control things, but still blame it on men. It's not helping. Women should just stay and respect themselves, know their lane, and stay there. It is better and it is beneficial for the society. Let me know what you think.
What do you think about the over sexualized culture? So if I'm on a Tinder date and I'm like, yeah, I've slept with like 25 guys. I'm free. I always use protection though. It's 2019, Michael. It's 2019.
Well, Candace, I have to ask, are you asking me at 20 or at 29? Are you asking me because it's very alluring to a lot of men. I mean, I'm sort of joking about how men convince women to be feminists and give them free sex. But if you're an 18 to, I don't know, if you're a guy in college, for instance, how do you say no to that? Especially in this culture, which tells you have sex young, have sex a lot. That's all you got to do. Sex, sex, sex.
But would you marry her?
Of course not.
Of course not.
Of course not. Nobody would. I think women are the same way. No woman looks at a man who's just sleeping around with, a different woman every night and says, yes, that's the man I want to raise my children.
Right.
Oh, what a great role model he'll be.
Feels irresponsible.
Of course.
Like you're not going to be able to take care of the home because you can't take care of yourself.
And the obsession with sex is not accidental. The obsession, sex it's the earliest profession, or the two earliest professions are prostitution and politics, and they're very similar. It's essential to our nature. Sex is fundamental to who we are. It can also become an addiction. When Tiger Woods got into trouble a few years ago because it turns out that the greatest athlete in the world was sleeping with beautiful women, we all joked about it. So, oh yes, he must have a horrible addiction. It's called being really rich and good looking and athletic. He goes home with a lot of women. But sex really can become an addiction. And in this culture, we're actually finding out millennials and Gen Z are having a lot less sex than Gen X and the baby boomers. You think we're having more sex? No. Everyone is just hooked on porn.
Wow.
Everybody, and it is a culture that is literally masturbatory. That becomes an addiction. I mean, you now see this all throughout the country and throughout the world. This is happening in Japan and other places. Like any other drug, people are becoming hooked on sex and hooked on porn. And what an addiction does is it causes you to stop thinking. It enslaves you. It makes you prone to certain behavior. And when you're not thinking, that's when the people who want to grab power can come in and force it on you.
Our culture in America has shifted to one that is all about sex. And this is largely due to feminism, right? This whole idea of like, again, one exact same time frame he's talking about where they wanted to undo everything. Well, you know what? In that time frame throughout the 50s, women were wearing poodle skirts, and they were always dressed from head to toe. Same for the men. They were wearing suits all the time. Well, the part of throwing out what American culture was also saying this is sexual repression. And this was really kind of brought, this whole idea of sexual repression and your inner libido was brought to us by Freud, right?
Yeah.
And people started perpetuating this idea that, if you can release your inner sexual libido and all of these things, you'll be less of a bigot. Honestly, this is the kind of stuff that they were writing, right? It's because you're sexually oppressed. That's what makes you a racist. That's what makes you this. And we sort of gave birth to this culture of, well, let's take it all off, right? This is us being free. This is us being sexually free. And now I look around and I'm like, you can watch porn without ever logging on to a porn website. You can watch porn by going to Instagram.
Yeah.
Right?
No question.
Girls barely just what's legal. Hashtag free the nipple. Women upset that they can't they can't show their breasts on Instagram, yet men can be at the can show themselves without a shirt on. Which this is very different, right? Seeing a man without a shirt on is not the same effect as seeing a woman that has her boobs out.
Yeah.
And they're pretending they don't understand that, and they're calling that an injustice, a social injustice.
So I think that most women listening would hear us as moralizing or preaching or judging or something. But here's the way that you get through, I think, to them is to say, this is really about love. Everyone wants to be loved. Everyone longs for a relationship, like historically a marriage, and hopefully still, where you have commitment, you can rely on it, it's there, it's based on something real, not something superficial that ages out, and it doesn't really matter in the long run. When you cheapen a woman or women, you look around. The proof is in the marriage and divorce rate. In my grandmother's generation, they didn't have all this smut. You look around, I can think of so many women in her generation, her friends, our neighbors, who had their husbands right there with them every step of the way till the day they died. How many of us are going to have that, this generation?
Men need women and women need men. But you see, no man denies we need a woman. That's the irony. It is not unmasculine of me to acknowledge I need a good woman, but a woman needs a good man just as badly.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's sad because the symbiotic nature of me just getting married, for people to know, and now that I'm married, I'm just like, guys, oh my gosh, it was all a lie. When I say it was all a lie, it means I was raised to believe, the classes I took, you're raised to believe you do not need a man. And not only do you not need a man, it is a token of how strong and how good you are if you do it without a man.
It's an achievement. That's right.
All a lie.
And you can have a child and the child doesn't need a father.
No, it doesn't, because you can do it by yourself.
So passé.
Right.
Yeah.
And
the loneliest people are, by the way, according to polls, this is not a Republican or a conservative viewpoint. The loneliest people, according to the academic studies, are single parents.
I do not doubt that at all. And this is what I always say. I had a young black woman come up to me on campus. I spoke at Trinity College, I think in January. And she came up to me and she was doing her little routine about what we are saying that women can't do it without men. I said, no. I've never said a woman can't do it without a man. There have been tons of women who have lost their husbands in horrible, tragic, Kobe Bryant, gone. Right? Do I think Vanessa just can't do it now? I think she can do it.
Right.
But you know what? I know that it would have been easier and better if she had a partner that was beside her side. And that is the way that she would have preferred it, right? We should not be setting our preferences to doing it without men. If we have to, right? When we have to send the boys to war, it's a totally but that should not be, you shouldn't be encouraging women to want that, to pursue that, because you know what's on the other side of that. You know it's misery. You know it's unhappiness. Let them know the joys of marriage.
But you're absolutely right. What they're trying to do is denigrate what it actually means to be a woman, because it actually says a lot about what they think about womanhood and what they think about femininity, that it is inferior to men, so we need to be more like men in order to be really equal. Well, I believe that women are unique. I believe that there are things that women can do that men can't do. Beyond just carrying a child, giving birth and all of that, but there are things that women are better at than men. There are ways that we can lead that are better than how men can lead, and vice versa. It's a very complementarian relationship that we should have between the genders. Of course, acknowledging equal worth. worth of both genders. But they're not willing to do that. They want to say, well, I can do all the same things that a man can. I want to be drafted like a man. And
No, they never want that.
Yeah.
They always stop right there.
Well, AOC the other day, she said, I believe that all genders should be drafted. And so they think that they want all of that.
No,
they
they don't
think
want that.
want all of that.
I get to go around the world and share my ideas, and I'm running 2 businesses by myself. What do you think is the thing that gives me the greatest pleasure in life?
What has given you the greatest pleasure as of this moment?
In this moment, and also like in a day. What is the highlight of my day?
Well, maybe your marriage.
Yeah, my marriage.
Yeah.
The highlight of my day is when I get to cook dinner for my husband.
Right.
Right?
I totally get it. And I would, my wife would answer the same thing, although she doesn't cook dinner for me because I prefer to eat out.
Right.
I'm a very strange husband.
I love
know, but
cooking dinner.
yes,
yeah,
no.
and putting food on the table, sitting down,
Yes.
talking to my husband, feeding our friends. Those are the things that give me the
Right.
greatest. I have had lunch with the president of the United States, and I am telling you, the
Correct.
thing that gives me the greatest pleasure
Right.
is feeding my husband,
Right.
making him a sandwich. Okay.
Yes.
What was this all about? What was
That
this
is
whole
correct.
sport of
That-
we need to
that is
compete
why-
like men,
that's why-
be like men,
correct.
act like men, dress like men, talk like men, get naked, have sex with men, give them everything they want. For whose happiness?
Right.
Whose happiness?
Exactly. Feminists lie to modern women and modern women by it because they want to do everything that men do until it is time to get real, or when things get real, it becomes a problem. You still have to blame it all on men. They want to have sex with multiple partners. That's why you see somebody will say she wants to be sleeping or she wants to sleep or have sex with 100 men in 24 hours because there's a prize. Or she wants to have sex with 1,000 men in a day or in 24 hours because there is a prize. So they lie to modern women to tell them that there is an empowerment scheme, or it's empowering to be like a man or to be like men. So they throw all of this idea, unexpected, unrealistic expectations, and women buy into the lies. When are women finally going to wake up to realize that women can't be men and men can't be women, and it's just that how it is? Men and women are supposed to complement each other, but rather the society just want to tear it apart and put both parties against each other. It's not helping. But I mean, where is the lie in everything that we just heard so far? Where is the lie? Exactly. This is the feminist game plan. And unless women wake up, they are just going to continuously be miserable for a really, really long time. But I would love your thoughts and your contribution in the comments below. Share other contribution or thoughts regarding feminist lies or feminism lies you've heard. I also love your contribution in the comments below. You can share other useful information you think might be really helpful. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all of that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video.